Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take,
but it gave my mom and me more time to plan together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.33333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
This is the Sunday Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Happy Sunday evening to everyone. My name is Mike Melby. Sitting across from me is Lincoln radio legend Tom Stevens. This is the Husker Rewind on 93.7 The Ticket. You can dial it up on theticketfm.com. You can stream it on a bunch of things that we finally clicked on, and I don't remember where they're at. Here's the funny thing. The we'll call them technical gremlins are interesting because we started the show and then the computer decided we didn't need to be on the air and it kicked us off and went back to satellite, and it's been an interesting day.
I think the computer was thinking, hey, this isn't the normal show. We don't normally do this on a Sunday night. Let's go back to whatever CBS has. And so this has happened to us a couple of times where we were on the air and then we weren't because the computer decided that we weren't. So we're fighting people not knowing that we're on the air to a great extent on Sunday nights. And then we're fighting the computer that doesn't want us on the air some nights. But we do plan to go 2 hours at some point here very soon, maybe next week.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
We're going to run into a situation with Bronco football from time to time when games start, and I think a lot of their games start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep.
So you're talking about maybe 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock start if it goes in overtime. Who knows?
Or we may just come in and kick them off the air.
Hey, if it's a blowout and the Broncos are winning, hey, nice game, Russell Wilson. That's we won't play the fourth quarter and just go right to Husker Rewind. Because, as you mentioned, we're going to be talking about a game, a Nebraska football game very shortly.
Exactly.
And I can't wait to do the day after type shows. Like, because sometimes you get on a Husker reaction show and you're just angry, right? And that's all that ever comes out.
Which is so funny because go back 20 years.
Or you're euphoric
if they won. It was euphoric 20 years ago, and now you're just pissed.
Yeah, but once you've had some day to kind of let it all come in, you've read all the articles, you've heard all the interviews, then that's almost my favorite to react to what has happened the day before. So we'll be more, the cooler heads, hopefully, in some cases, will prevail. Not always. And we'd love to hear from you, 464-5685, especially once we get rolling here with this particular show and you've had a chance to react to games. Keep it in mind that we're going to do a Sunday show right around 6 o'clock every Sunday, and it may very well be 2 hours before too long here.
Definitely. Now, something that happened last week that I found very interesting, especially since the saga and soap opera and drama of this, the way it played out since the end of volleyball season, every single thing that I read all pointed to Kayla Caffey being a middle blocker at the University of Nebraska next year. That's not going to be the case. She entered the transfer portal, and she said that she was surprised by it, but there was not a scholarship available for her. And if you look at the Nebraska roster currently, they have Caitlin Horde, who's a transfer from Penn State, first-team All-American.
Automatic starter.
One of the best middle blockers in the game, if not the best middle blocker in the game. And then you have two true freshmen in Becca Alec from Waverly, go Vikings, and Maggie Mendelson, who's also Maggie Mendelson's going to play basketball as well as volleyball, and
Right.
she's actually on the basketball scholarship, not a
Which
volleyball
is
scholarship.
weird. I mean, that's how you control numbers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because she would definitely get a volleyball
Oh,
scholarship.
easily.
But
She was like the number 4 volleyball player in the country.
and I think the 30th best basketball player.
Yeah.
So that's cool that she's so good at both sports, but she's on a basketball scholarship, as you point out.
So you have talent there, but you have 2 true freshmen who have never played a college match. And granted, you have possibly the best middle blocker in the game. I get that. But
Neither one of those girls is as good as Kayla Caffey.
I don't think so. Not today.
No.
But the puzzling thing to me, and John Cook doesn't have to explain anything to anybody, but it just seems odd with the timing of it. So close to the season, Kayla Caffey's kind of, I mean, rosters are pretty much set. Now, getting a second-team All-American in the transfer portal this late, some team is going to be like, oh, hell yeah, we will take her.
Darn right.
And I hope she winds up at a fantastic place, and I hope it's someplace that makes the NCAA tournament and gets her another long run in the tournament as well. Fantastic player. It just seemed odd that it felt like she was under the impression or felt like she was going to be playing at Nebraska this coming season, and then ultimately kind of had the rug pulled out from underneath her. That's at least the way when you read her statement, it kind of feels like this was not expected.
How did that conversation go? Hey, good news, coach. I just heard from the NCAA. I'm coming back. And he said, well, no, you aren't.
I don't have
we don't have a scholarship for you. And I'm sure that's not how that conversation went. I'm sure John Cook knew, or probably knew in advance, maybe even of Kayla Caffey, and his department certainly did, and then shared the news to her, and then also had to add the news that we don't have a scholarship for you, which is just inconceivable to me. Again, I think Becca Alec and Maggie Mendelson are going to be great players, but neither one of them are second-team All-American, I don't think, today. Kayla Caffey is today, and she's been through 6 hard years of college volleyball. Redshirted in 2016, had a medical hardship season in 2018, and then you had the COVID season that didn't count. So it's 7 years with the redshirt year and COVID that she is now here and stuck it out. Well, transferred from Missouri.
Yeah.
But she's been around a long time. And I just think that's really tough. And couldn't there have been a way with name, image, and likeness now? I mean, Lexi Sutton didn't even play much of the end of last year, and she got all that money from whatever jewelry store gave her all that money. Borsheim's.
Yep.
So you would think with Nebraska's connections and collective, they could have worked out some sort of deal to get her some money. If that, hey, give up your scholarship, but don't worry, because we got that paid for with $200,000 from, sponsor X or Y.
I get that argument, but at the same time, so let's say she gets, for the sake of argument, $30,000 to go to school for her to work on her next master's, because she's going to be a teacher, and a fantastic one. Just you can tell by the way she communicates. But the problem is, great, here's the $30,000 you don't have to pay for school, but then you've got everybody else on the team getting NIL money, but we used all your NIL money that you could possibly get just to pay for your school. So you get nothing. And especially, I mean, a second team All-American, you got to find a scholarship for. But when you look at the roster and you look at the young ladies that are going to be suiting up for the Big Red this year, they all are tremendous. The potential is either there because they're one of the top recruits as they came in, or they've already proven how good they are, and they're going to demand court time. So bad break, I guess, for Kayla Caffey. Just from a talent standpoint, she's going to land on her feet and be tremendous wherever she plays. And it's going to be a loss for Nebraska, I think, mainly just flat out from experience. You don't have somebody that's been there, done that for 6 years.
Yep. And by the way, I think that I kind of wrote off, and maybe some other Husker volleyball fans wrote off Nicklin Hames, thinking the job is Kendi Orr's at setter. It sounds like that may be a battle, and that Nicklin Hames, maybe she moves somewhere. I don't know, libero, or maybe they use her some way like that. But I think a lot that John Cook maybe just thought, I'll give it to Kendi Orr, and that's her job. Not so fast. I don't think that Nicklin Hames is going down without a fight for that particular position.
I thought she was kind of taking a back seat and becoming a defensive specialist on her own accord and learning more about coaching.
Maybe
but
so.
I haven't heard that she's going to try to take the center
I've
job
heard
away.
a couple of whispers that from John Cook like this. Hey, this could be a battle. Just based on what. And I know I'd heard the same thing, that she's leaning more into getting into coaching.
Yeah.
And we've got Kendi Orr, the former #1 recruit in the country, and it's her job. But I just don't know that that's the case.
The thing with Kennedy Orr some athletes have it, and it goes with them their entire careers, and their careers never wind up as good as they hoped. And some of them have that little hiccup, and it's injuries. And Kennedy Orr has just had some frustrating injuries that has prevented her from being on the court probably as much as she wanted to last year. And obviously she didn't finish the beach season this year. So the injury bug is always going to be in the back of anybody's mind in any position, but maybe that's part of it with why there's some rumblings that Nicklin may get a few more sets at setter.
I just think it's something to watch.
Could be.
Kennedy Orr might win the job, and maybe they've already given her the job. I have no idea. I'm just reading between. I read these interviews, and sometimes you take stuff out and you're wrong, and sometimes you take stuff out and you might be a little closer to right than you realize. Dakota's Crawford is definitely, we've had this conversation before. It's definitely on the all Nebraska name team. It's one of the best names in the history of Nebraska football. And maybe you'd put it on, your famous college list. Thunder Collins is still #1 for me. I mean, it's pretty tough to top Thunder Collins, and we've had, your favorite name ever. But Dakota's Crawford is going to cash in on his name.
Yeah.
He got an NIL deal from SOS Air Conditioning and Heating.
Yep.
And they want to promote the coldest air conditioners in town, or the coldest air conditioning company in town. It seems like a little bit of a risk for them, but they're cashing in on the name. Is it a good one? On your part?
I think it's I could have been anybody. It could have been Brian. It could have been bigger staff, or any of the you pick a heating and cooling company. And I'm kind of surprised that with the collectives and the so-called agents or whatever that are helping these guys get through this process, I would have thought it would have been a bidding war from a HVAC company on who gets him, because
nobody thought about it apparently outside of
during the summer. It's, do you want the coldest, AC and the most efficient AC in the neighborhood?
Right.
And you got Dakota's Crawford telling you about it. And then in the winter, you just turn it around and you flip it and you say, are you tired of the Dakota's? You know what I mean? I think it's fantastic. Good for him, and good for all the kids that sign the NIL deals. It's a long time coming. It's currently the Wild West with it. Hopefully there's going to be a guardrail or two put in at some point.
As long as we're talking NIL, because I think it either helps Nebraska get back to the top, or nothing can help Nebraska get back to the top. But we do know that Nebraska now, with $100 million a year coming from the Big Ten, the Big Ten is going to sign a new contract that will probably make Nebraska even richer. I mean, because they're very rich right now. I think they're getting 55 million, something like that, from the Big Ten currently. That contract, when it's signed with Fox, once again, the new deal, rumors that, you're bringing 1.6 to the league billion, who knows how much. But every school is going to get $100 million. That would mean Nebraska can pay, guys like Dakota's Crawford if they want to, or, continue to build brand new facilities like they're doing now.
I was going to say they can't pay the players. The university can't pay them.
Well, they can go through collectives, and I'm not sure all these collectives are above board. I think I'm just saying, when you get more money, you're getting the best coaches. I think you're getting the best facilities, which Nebraska building a $150 million facility. And that won't be a problem to maintain something like that when you're getting the kind of money that Nebraska's getting. And then the collectives are rich as well. So they can sign these guys like Dakota's Crawford to an AC company, and Nebraska can keep coming with guys like that. I think it's a little bit of a risk in that we don't know how good he's going to be. I mean, all these people signing NIL deals, and we've seen it already in college football. Some guys you'll never hear of, and they've already made $1 million. in some cases.
But do you fault him? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Keyshawn Johnson Jr. is a prime example. I mean, it was all about Keyshawn and all the stuff he was going to do. And I remember Keyshawn Sr. responding to a tweet from a local journalist who said, one of my favorite local journalists, Dick Chatelain, if Keyshawn Jr. never catches a pass at Nebraska, his influence could be felt for years, and it could be one of the coolest things, et cetera. And Keyshawn Sr. had this major malfunction about it, and is like, he's going to come in, he's going to catch pass, he's going to be the greatest receiver in Nebraska. And then he got in with the wrong crowd and started meddling with some illegal substances. And next thing you know, Daddy took him home, and he hasn't played it down in college football. So you have stories like that. But he would have signed probably a pretty damn good NIL deal if NIL would have been here when Keyshawn Jr. In his brief, 6 weeks on campus, he may have gotten a pretty good deal, and it may have burned him. But that's part of the thing when you advertise too. I mean, you sometimes your ad campaigns work out great, sometimes they don't, and it's the risk they got to take. But bottom line is, if you're going to associate yourself with a Nebraska football player, it's not a bad thing, or a Nebraska athlete, not just football.
I don't see any other names that jump out to me that would get deals just based on their name. Timmy Bleekerood's kind of a cool name, but the Polar Bear, I think there are companies that have already done something with Nash Hutmacher a little bit. Because I don't know if it's because of his nickname, the Polar Bear, that he's gotten deals, but most of these guys have some sort of deal anyway. Yep. Let's see. Anybody else that sticks out to me as getting, based on their name or just their look, something as far as an NIL deal? I think Garrett Nelson, because of the hair, he's a good-looking dude.
He doesn't have hair anymore.
He got rid of it?
Yeah. The whole defensive line shaved their head.
How did I not know this?
Colton Feist.
Why did we not lead with this?
Colton Feist is the only one that did not yet, and that is because he's getting married here in the very near future.
We should have been leading
for
with
the
hair. They all shaved their heads.
Yes.
Breaking news from the Nebraska football program. Mike Melby knows way more than I do, apparently, about what's going on. They all shaved their heads, including Garrett Nelson with that great lock of hair. I mean, that would be. You've got a really good head of hair. It's very thick. You could donate to people who need hair all over the world and never run out. Would you? Hey, we're shaving our heads, Mike. Are you in?
Absolutely not. Not a chance.
Yeah.
If when I was doing play-by-play for the Stars, there was one season that if we made the championship series and we had a team that should have, I made a deal with the guys that I would get a mohawk as well as the majority of the team. I think the team had all bleached their hair just platinum blonde. And the kind of the rub was if we made it to the championship series to show unity and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, I'll do it. I will get a mohawk if you guys make it to the Clark Cup finals. And unfortunately, they did not. Or fortunately for my hair, they did not. Although it could have been fun. I actually think it would have been pretty cool to have a mohawk for a little while.
I've shaved my head many times. I'll get mad like Nebraska loses a close game. So I said, you know what? I'm shaving my head. Like I can punish the team by shaving my head. I've done that many times, but I just kind of like the feel of being bald. So I'll just take the shaver and just shave my head from time to time. And sometimes it's out of protest for a Nebraska football loss or basketball loss. But other times it's just, why'd you do that? Heidi will say. And I say, you know what? I just wanted to shave my head. I felt like shaving my head. She hates it. She doesn't like the look, but sometimes I'll still do it. I
think grow it out to where you can get a ponytail. I think you ought to do it.
Okay. Well, if I were Garrett Nelson, I don't know that I would do it because that's a good looking guy with a lot of great hair, but he did it because the whole defense, apparently, according to Mike,
defensive line,
the defensive line shaved it. I want to talk to you about the preseason rankings, where Nebraska's ranked, where the national publications see the Huskers compared to what you believe will happen this season. It is Husker Rewind. We do it every Sunday night at 6. I'm Tom Stevens. That's Mike Melby.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 488-8934. HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Swing for the fences with single game tickets to see Lincoln's best lineup on and off the diamond. The Salt Dog season is stacked with reasons to spend your summer at Haymarket Park. Get a free general admission ticket when you donate 3 non-perishable food items on Triple Play Tuesdays. Eat $2 Fairbury brand dogs on Wiener Wednesdays. Score drink specials on Thirsty Thursdays. Then win your weekend with Firework Fridays, Souvenir Saturdays, and Sunday Family Fun Days presented by Casey's. Get tickets at saltdogs.com.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear because I'm grilling up dinner. You get it?
Yes, good job.
So what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Courage. I learned it from my adoptive mom. Hold my hand.
You hold my hand. Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Back to the Sunday Rewind with Tom and Mike.
That's old school.
Yeah?
No school like the old school.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Absolutely the worst concert I ever saw in my life. The Scorpions.
No.
Yes.
Oh, that's disappointing. What happened?
Welcome back to Husker Rewind. I'm Mike Melby, the legend Tom Stevens, right over there, right here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Sandstone Amphitheater down in Kansas City, and it was in the mid-90s, and it was their second show on the tour, and we go down there, and Matthias Jabs, who's one of the guitarists, his amp kept cutting out, so his guitar would just go dead. Klaus Mein's vocals, there's cats that have sounded better. He was awful. I've seen him before, and it wasn't a great show. It was a good show, but it wasn't great. But this was, and like Matthias Jepps walked off stage like 6 times, was throwing stuff. I mean, he was just out of his mind, and it was horrible. I would say a third of the crowd walked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day when you'd get to meet rock stars. They would come visit along with the music rep.
Yep.
The station, the radio station, and that never happens anymore. It's all corporate radio now, so you don't deal with local radio stations. But Klaus Mein, Billy Squier came by one week, and that was kind of cool. And then they stop in the studio and they do a promo for your radio station. Obviously, you got to have them in the studio to record something. And he was saying, "This is Klaus Mein, Scorpions. Listen to KFMQ." Someone, what the heck? This is the way this guy sounds. I didn't realize, that he had that thick German accent to go with the. I thought that just because he doesn't sound like that when he sings. Obviously, he doesn't sing with an accent. So I was a little surprised when I met Klaus Mein for like 10 seconds. But that was a fun day. That was a fun.
I can imagine
fun, not just day, but an era of radio where you actually got to meet people and you got to go backstage to concerts all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I got to meet so many bands, and that just doesn't happen, I don't think, at a wide enough level anymore. It's become way too corporate. So
completely agree.
Yeah. Bill Russell has passed at the age of 88. Is he the GOAT? I mean, when you talk about team sports, nobody has 11 championships, right?
Correct.
Except for Bill Russell. You have Tom Brady, right up there. You have Michael Jordan with 6. I mean, Kobe, I think, has 5. LeBron has 5, something like that. Nobody's going to top 11, right? He won 11 championships in 13 years. And by the way, if you were wondering, is he the greatest big man? Probably. Wilt's better. Wilt's more talented. His record against Wilt Chamberlain was 57-37.
Yeah.
He dominated him. He never lost a closing game of the play, a game 5 or a game 7. If it was over in that game, it was over with Bill Russell.
And then include NCAA championship games too. Never lost.
Right. And because of racism, let's be honest, he went to San Francisco.
Yeah.
He should have gone, wherever he wanted to in college football, but he marched with Martin Luther King. We all know that. Was the first black coach to ever win a championship in a major sport, and he won 2 of them.
2 of them in 3 years.
So, I mean, you could argue the greatest, but where do you start with Bill Russell? I mean, what category? Because he did it in so many different arenas.
Well, and that was the thing too. It to me it was almost his impact off the court as an activist for racial equality.
Yeah.
I think it speaks volumes, and it's I don't know. He was an amazing human being, not just basketball player, and that's that's to me what I guess I look back and. He was a little before my time. The very end of his career was, I was too young to
remember him more as an announcer.
Yeah.
Broadcasting basketball than I do as a player.
Yeah. And it's going back, and it's not like I studied a ton of old film with Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain or anything like that, but I've seen clips. And I would love to have had him have the ability to play in the era Michael Jordan did.
Yeah.
Because like Magic and Bird, if you could have put a Bill Russell type of player, 6'9", that's the whole thing. Everybody thinks
he's only 6'9".
Yeah, they're like, oh, him and Wilt Chamberlain had these battles, and so they're both these big 7-footers. No, Wilt was 7'1".
Wilt was.
Yeah, Wilt was 7'1", and Bill Russell was 6'9". And Bill Russell did things that Michael Jordan, I think, could never do. And I just the where the game was, and I don't know if there was a more tenacious rebounder, including Dennis Rodman. I don't think there was a more tenacious rebounder that ever played the game, and a guy that was more dedicated to helping his team by doing everything, because that's the whole thing. The dude averaged 22 rebounds a game.
Ridiculous.
Think about that.
Best rebounder, maybe the best shot blocker as well.
And right there too.
It was great. 88 years old. The family wouldn't say what affected his passing, but he was 88. So very understandable. Ashley Williams, edge rusher from Louisiana, has decommitted from the Husker football program. Big deal or no big deal?
It's a big deal from the standpoint of he was your 3rd highest rated recruit. He's one of Mickey Joseph's guys. I love the tweet Mickey Joseph put out about it, something about, I'm just going to sit here and smile and nod. When I saw last weekend that he was planning a trip to Auburn this weekend, I fully expected a decommitment, I guess. I didn't have any inside sources or anything. I just went kind of one of those things, kind of reading between the tea leaves there. And does he, ultimately wind up at Nebraska? I don't know, after transferring when what he was promised from Auburn or wherever he goes doesn't come to fruition. That's kind of what I get the feeling, is that there was maybe a little pot of gold at the end of a rainbow promised to him or something, or something seems a little, well, Nebraska, can you do this? Well, they can. And I'm sure Mickey Joseph went, we've already got laid out what you're in. I don't know any of it, but it just seems like, we'll see where you wind up.
I'm in the no big deal camp, because it doesn't really matter. Unless Nebraska wins at least 6 games, this whole coaching staff is fired, probably 99%. This coaching staff is out of here. And so all the guys they recruited are not going to, unless you're a Nebraska kid or you just have always wanted to go to Nebraska, there might be 2 or 3 guys from this class that stick around if Nebraska doesn't have a good season. But to me, it doesn't really matter until Nebraska starts winning 8 or 9 games.
Oh, I completely agree. Like if it were something where the season goes off the rails and it's a bad season, 3-9, whatever, I think Riley Van Poppel, Omarion Miller, Jaden Doss, William Watson, all would decommit. And Maverick Noonan's going to be here, but at the end of the day, just win, baby.
Yeah, if they win, they're going to get guys like Ashley Williams. And by the way, Malachi Coleman, who's ranked a whole lot higher than he is.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be the best athlete Nebraska's produced in quite a while. Because he can be a wide receiver. He can be a rush end, probably better at a rush end than at a wide receiver. The current East wide receiver that I think will pick Nebraska. But for me, those are the devastating losses. When you lose the in-state kid.
When you lose Hunter Salas, I don't care if it's to Gonzaga, that hurt.
And even a kid named Omaha Ballou. I mean, I know he born in Omaha. But his last name Omaha, or his first name was Omaha, so you thought Nebraska had a chance, and he decided to pick Iowa State today.
Yeah, I grew up in Iowa, but still, at least he didn't pick the Hawkeyes. So that's the positive
we
thing.
hate the Hawkeyes. Do you have a nominee?
Get off my lawn.
For Get Off My Lawn this week.
I do. It's a little personal. Very good friend. Eric Clark passed away a couple of days ago. He'd been battling brain cancer. So my Get Off My Lawn is to cancer. It sucks. I know we all have to deal with it at times. But we lost one of the good ones in a gentleman named Eric Clark. And may he rest in peace. And we'll go pay our respects on Tuesday.
I lost a friend as well from cancer, and another one from death. I mean, and another one's in hospice. I mean, that is always tough. So I feel for you, Mike. I didn't know him, but I certainly feel for what you're going through, what his family is going through. I'm going to put Bubba Watson on my Get Off My Lawn.
I like it.
Nominee. I mean, he gets $50 million. Here's another guy that knows his career's over.
Yeah.
And then somebody comes out with a parachute and say, hey, would you like $50 million to come on over here? So congratulations. Charles Barkley doesn't join Live, but Bubba Watson does, even though the best days of golf are way, way behind Bubba Watson. But yeah, go take your money. They're giving out, they're writing checks over there. Yeah. We are out. Husker Rewind. We will talk to you again next Sunday night. See you. Bye-bye.
Good morning from Indianapolis.
93.7 ticket from Lucas Oil Stadium.
We're out here, Lucas Oil Stadium, for the Big Ten Media Day. Big Ten Media Day.
Big Ten Football Media Days.
Nobody brought you more live coverage of Big Ten Media Days. When there's an event that matters to you, 93.7 The Ticket is there. 93.7 The Ticket. Lincoln's real sports talk.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.